ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Welcome. So in our last class, we studied 4 verses from the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 13 to 16, where we studied the relationship between Atma, Paramatma and Prakriti. And today we are going to study from verse number 17. Actually, from verse number 17 to 26 is a particular section, that is the divine vision of a Jnani. But I think it will not be possible to study all the verses together in one class. So let us try. We will continue in our next class if we cannot finish it today. Okay. So I will share the screen. तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानस्तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः गच्छन्त्या पुनरावृत्तिं ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः Tad-buddhayaha, those whose intelligence is always in the Supreme. Tat-atmanaha, those whose minds are always in the Supreme. Tat-nishthaha, those whose faith is only meant for the Supreme. Tat-parayanaha, who have completely taken shelter of Him. Gacchanti, go. Apunah avrittim, to liberation. Jnana, by knowledge. Nirdhuta, cleansed. Kalmashaha, misgivings. Translation. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. So we see that from this verse, the divine vision of a Gnani is being described by Bhagavan. And it is said in this verse that as we studied in our previous class, that attaining the knowledge of the relationship of Jiva, Prakriti, and Paramatma. So now the Jnani, after this knowledge, takes shelter to the Paramatma and meditates upon him and becomes liberated. And the people who are acting in Krishna consciousness leads to immense joy and acting for the benefit of the whole world, and thus he becomes liberated. So, as the first question of Arjuna with which this chapter started is, which is better between karma sannyasa and karma yoga, that is renunciation of action and renunciation in action, as we discussed in our first class on this chapter. So after deriving the knowledge of Atma, Paramatma and Prakriti, a person can either take shelter to the Paramatma and leave this world and meditate upon him. Thus he can become liberated. This is one process. And the other process, that is on which we are stressing, that is acting in Krishna consciousness, which leads to immense joy. And thus he is acting, that person is acting for the benefit of the whole world, and he becomes liberated in this way. So this particular verse gives certain qualities of such a person. That is tad-buddhayaha. Tad-buddhayaha means intelligence is always fixed in the Supreme. Tat-atmanaha, mind is always fixed. Tan-nishtha, faith is always fixed. And tat-parayanaha, completely taken shelter of the Supreme. So we see that the fixing the mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge in the absolute reality, which is understood as Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan by different people, as we discussed earlier also. And the ultimate result is attaining liberation, that is Mukti Marga. And as we discussed earlier, that complete knowledge means Atma Jnana plus Paramatma Jnana. Atma Jnana, that is knowledge of the self, and Paramatma Jnana, that is knowledge of God. So, if a person has both, then he is in complete knowledge. So, we see that Atma Jnana alone is not actually enough for true liberation. Here, bhakti is required because the Lord says, Bhaktyaham ekaya grahyaha. That is, I am attainable by bhakti alone. Therefore, we see the jnanis need to additionally practice bhakti in order to obtain knowledge of Paramatma. And actually, this happens for the jnanis. We will come to know in the later verses or in the later chapter more prominently. Okay, so the next verse we see, verse number 18. विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव श्वपाके च पंडितः समदर्शिनः. Vidya with education, Vinaya and gentleness, Sampanne fully equipped, Brahmane in the Brahmana, Gavi in the cow, Hastini in the elephant, Shuni in the dogs, Cha and Eva certainly, Shwapake in the dog eater, that is outcast, Cha respectively, Panditaha, those who are wise, Samadarshinaha, who see with equal vision. Translation: the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater outcast. So, seeing with equal vision, this is the theme of this verse. That is Samadarshi. Samadarshi means, that is the last word of this verse, Samadarshinaha. So, who makes no discrimination between a learned Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog eater, a dog and a dog eater, Shuni and Shwapaka, is Samadarshi. So he can see perfectly that bodies are different. Bodies are different, but the soul present in every living entity is same in quality. And he also understands the presence of the same Paramatma or super soul in everyone. So that is his perfect knowledge by which he becomes Samadarshi. As we studied Samatvam Yoga Uchyate in second chapter, that is equanimity is yoga, Bhagavan says to Arjuna. And he again says Yoga Karma Sukaushalam. Yoga Karma Sukaushalam, that is art of action, is based on this principle of equal vision. That is going beyond all discriminating concepts. And we see it is actually the basis of universal brotherhood, which we dream for. As the Ishopanishad says, Ekatvam Anupashyataha. So, seeing the same Paramatma, Ekatvam Anupashyataha, means that one sees that one everywhere. Or we can see that uh, seeing the same Paramatma in everyone, this is not theoretical for a sadhaka, it is a direct experience to a sadhaka. And we see that Bhagavad Gita again and again teaches us of this equanimity or equal vision, which is actually the need of all ages to come, irrespective of past, present, and future. Why? To live a peaceful life internally and externally. So, this is the need of equal vision. So, the next verse we see, sorry. इहैव त्यर्जितः सर्गो येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनाः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्माद् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः. Iha, in this life, Iva, certainly, Taihi, by them, Jitaha, conquered, Sargaha, birth and death, Yesham, whose Samye, in equanimity, Sthitam, situated, Manaha, mind, Nirdosham, flawless, he, certainly, Samam, in equanimity, Brahma, like the Supreme, Tasmat, therefore, Brahmani, in the Supreme, they, Stitaha, are situated. Translation: those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. Brahmani te sthitaha. So Bhagavan says here that this particular phrase, samye sthitam manaha, that is mind situated in equanimity. It is actually extension of the last verse. Mind situated in equanimity means free from all attachment and aversion. So we see that Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabhaha. It is very rare to get a person who actually understands that Vasudeva is everything. So when we realize that the same Paramatma is present in all, when we work in the mode of service, then every action seems in the same platform. Every action, we don't discriminate that this is superior action or inferior action or something like that. This is equal vision. And there may come some awkward situations also while performing the actions. But we need to deal with them patiently. Patiently. And this is the real test in life, which is very difficult, of course. But with this vision, we can actually pass all the exams efficiently. And then is nirdosham. In the second line, Nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmat brahmani te sthitaha. So Nirdosham means flawless. Flawless. How he becomes flawless? He becomes flawless by constant association with the Lord in the mental platform. And as the Lord is flawless, avranam, it is said in Ishopanishad, that is flawless, taintless. So every individual Atma, being a part and parcel of the Paramatma who is flawless, is also flawless. So this is the vision of a perfect Jnani. And therefore we see his thought, action, speech, everything becomes flawless, and they attain love of God. And his whole being is thoroughly drenched with love for the Lord and for this entire creation. So that is why it is said in the first part of the first line, Ihaiva tairjitaha sargo. Ihaiva taihi jitaha sargaha means he becomes Jivan Mukta. Brahmani te sthitaha. Brahmani te sthitaha. That is, he is fixed in Brahman or Brahma. সর্বত্র কৃষ্ণমূর্তি করে ঝলমল সে দেখিতে পায় যার আঁখি নির্মল. So the effulgence of the beautiful form of Krishna is there everywhere in this creation, but only the person whose eyes are pure, he can only see this. Okay, so with this, the next verse, that is verse number 20, we will chant. न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नोद्विजेत् प्राप्य च प्रियं स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढो ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः. Na, never. Prahishyet, rejoices. Priyam, the pleasant. Prapya, achieving. Na, does not. Udvijet, become agitated. Prapya, obtaining. Cha, also. Apriyam, the unpleasant. Sthira buddhihi, self-intelligent. Asammodhaha, unbewildered. Brahmavid, one who knows the Supreme perfectly. Brahmani, in the transcendence. Sthitaha, situated. Translation. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. Very beautiful situation and very rare indeed. So, sthira buddhihi, the first part of the second line. Sthira buddhihi means self-intelligence, who does not rejoice upon achieving pleasant things or does not lament upon receiving unpleasant things. He is a sthira buddhihi. And what is the thought behind this sthira buddhi nature, because this person, this jnani, knows that this is the impression of past karmas. Achievement of pleasant things or receiving unpleasant things, these are all the impressions of past karmas. So his knowledge is actually based on the statement and instructions of the great sages and the scriptures. So he is very steady in his understanding. And then is asammudhaha. Asammudhaha means who is not deluded. He is not deluded by identifying the eternal soul with the perishable temporary body. This body, which is the cause of lamentation or joy or similar other emotions. And he is not deluded by the thought that he is one with the Lord in all sense. He perfectly understands the simultaneous difference in oneness with the Lord. That is his perfect understanding, and that's why he is never deluded. So this is his position. And then is Brahmavid, this word. Brahmavid means the knower of the science of God. That is, who has both self-realization and God realization. Self-realization plus God realization. He is a Brahmavid. And Brahmani te sthitaha. Brahmani sthitaha. Brahmavid, Brahmani sthitaha. Brahmani sthitaha means situated in transcendence. We see that this concept of pleasant and unpleasant, this particular thought or concept is in the material level. And as the jnani, this person sees everything belonging to the Lord, so they are all in the spiritual level. And then where is the question of pleasant and unpleasant? He actually feels the presence of the Lord everywhere. Everywhere. And it is a very, very rare situation, of course, as we just said. This vision of a perfect jnani is very, very rare. And he does not criticize anyone. Internally, but externally he may for a particular purpose, but that is never the reflection of his inner thoughts. Loka sangrahamevapi. To teach the people how to act in a particular situation, he may sometimes become harsh to anyone or may criticize someone, but that is absolutely external for him. Okay, so who is self-realized and God-realized? This perfect jnani, he is always situated in transcendence. Brahmani sthitaha. He never comes down to the material plane. It may apparently seem that he is working in the material plane very efficiently. That is also external. internally he is always staying in the spiritual platform, that is in transcendence. Brahmane sthitaha. So this is the essence of this verse. The next verse. बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखं स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते. Bahyasparsheshu, in external sense pleasure. Asakta Atma, one who is not attached. Vindati, enjoys. Atmani, in the self. Yat, that which. Sukham, happiness. Saha, he. Brahma Yoga, by concentration in Brahman. Yukta Atma, self-connected. Sukham, happiness. Akshayam, unlimited. Ashnute, enjoys. Translation. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Asakta Atma, who is unattached in external material pleasure. So, external material pleasure, we see that in our discussion, we have discussed this, that Bhagavan is known as Bhavaroga Vaidya. We are suffering from the disease of attachment with this material world. This is our Bhavaroga. And the Lord is Bhavaroga Vaidya, that is the doctor who can cure this Bhavaroga. He is the Lord. So he can only cure the disease of our attachment. So if we try to get attached to his lotus feet, then we actually become detached from this material pleasure. Because this material pleasure and spiritual bliss are no match, and they cannot go together. It is for sure. And Vindatyatmani, that is Vindati Atmani, means enjoys in the self, enjoys within. And Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. Sukham, happiness. Akshayam means unlimited. Ashnute, enjoys. So who enjoys unlimited happiness? Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. Okay. So the next verse. Sorry. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. Ye, those, he, certainly, samsparshajaha, by contact with the material senses, bhogaha, enjoyments, dukkha, distress, yonayaha, source of, eva, certainly, they are, adi, beginning, anta, end, vantaha, subject to, kaunteya, O son of Kunti, na, never, teshu, in those, ramate, takes delight, buddhaha, the intelligent person. Translation. An intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga. Samsparshaja bhoga means that enjoyment which is derived by the contact with the material senses with the material objects. So that is samsparshaja bhoga. Dukkha yonaya evate. So this jnani takes no delight in temporary pleasure because he knows that this is the cause of material bondage. And knowing this, he is completely unattached with the sensory pleasures. We see the uncontrolled senses are like boats in the ocean, which has no control, and it will go with the blow of the wind. So a jnani does not want this to happen. He knows that material activities are temporary. They are the sources of misery and binding the Atma to this material world. So then, Ramate Buddha. Ramate means takes delight. So Ramate Buddha means the intelligent person takes delight in what? Actually, an intelligent person, that is this kind of a jnani, takes delight in Ramaha. Ramate iti Ramaha. That is, he takes delight in the absolute truth or Bhagavan. Because Bhagavan is the ultimate source of bliss. So unlimited transcendental pleasure can be derived from the absolute truth, Bhagavan. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita, as stated in Brahma Samhita. And we see in Śrimad Bhagavatam also, in the 5th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 1, when Rishabhadeva teaches his sons, he says that there is no reason to labor extremely hard to fulfill the sense desires in human life. Rather, because it is this kind of pleasures are available to the lower animals also. Laboring hard to gain some physical comfort or physical enjoyment, it is available for the animals also. So it cannot be the goal of human life. So Rishabhadeva says that this human life is meant for penances to purify the existence. And the result is infinite transcendental bliss. That is, we see that when a person is unattached to the sense objects, he and realizes his own nature, he experiences the bliss and attains samadhi in Paramatma, or attains indescribable happiness. Both way we can explain this. Whatever the case, here as Rishabhadeva says that human life is meant for austerities and penances to purify our existence. And the result is the infinite transcendental bliss, the divine bliss. Sukhena Brahma Samsparsham Atyantam Sukhamakšnute. So that transcendental bliss we may derive. So, means Ajnani can, and if we follow in their footsteps, if we try to achieve these qualities, it is definitely very difficult, but we must also try according to our capability. But today we will not be able to finish because 4 more verses are there. So in our next class we will finish this section, and then the next 3 verses also we will have to study together. Okay, so with this we will end. वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम